Hi everybody, this is a question about output gaps. It looks as if there's a lot of information to remember here, but I'm just going to break it all down one by one. It's not particularly complicated. It says that the Moroccan economy had a large negative output gap in 2017. First of all, an output gap, that means it's the difference between what your actual level of output is in an economy and your potential level of output, so how much you're capable of producing. This will make you think a little bit of a PPF. It's very similar. And if you have a negative output gap, that means that your actual output is less than your potential output in the economy. And this is an ADAS diagram where you can see a negative output gap because we can see our equilibrium of the LRAS and AD is here. So this is our equilibrium level of output. So our real output is at Y. And in this diagram, when LRAS becomes perfectly inelastic, like an I for inelastic up here, at this point, you're incapable of producing any more output. You're stuck at Y1. You can't get any further than this. This is like on a PPF diagram being on the PPF curve. So you can't go any further than Y1. And in this case, therefore, this is your potential level of output. That's your maximum potential. But we know that our actual level of output is just here at Y. So you are producing less than you're capable of producing. And therefore, the distance between Y and Y1 is a negative output gap. And the question says, which one of the following is usually associated with a negative output gap? So we're looking for something which is showing a negative output gap. It's showing something like this. A says demand-pull inflation and decreasing unemployment. If we have demand-pull inflation, that's where you're seeing a sustained increase in the average price level, that's inflation, due to demand pulling, demand increasing. That would be aggregate demand coming over here. It's going past this bit because we need the price level to go up. It's coming up here. AD is coming up here. If AD was coming up here, then we'd have a very small output gap. We definitely wouldn't have a big negative output gap, so it would be decreasing. So it doesn't look as if this is the right answer. The next one, cost push inflation and high unemployment rates. Cost push inflation is where your costs are increasing, so you're not capable of producing as much. So that would see your LRAS curve, because remember this really shows your productive potential, it would be coming in to the left. If this LRAS curve came into the left, you can see the output gap would be much smaller. Because look, if my pen is showing the perfectly inelastic bit of LRAS, if it came over here, the distance between what you could potentially produce and what you're actually producing would be much smaller. You wouldn't have a big negative output gap. I just want to go back, to the first one. This also said decreasing unemployment. If you have decreasing unemployment, that will mean that more people have got a job. If more people have got a job, incomes are higher, output is higher. Remember, Y is representing income. If we have decreasing unemployment, we're closer to our full potential. So we'd have a smaller negative output gap or not have one at all. That's another reason that's wrong. C, real GDP growth is less than the long-term productive potential. This is the right answer. And the reason is because you're not having as much of an increase in real GDP as you could do. Because you're right down here with a big negative output gap. Your real economic growth would see an increase in your real output. But if you have a big negative output gap, you are not seeing that. And your growth is less than you're capable of growing. So this is the right answer, we think. Let's just check the last one, though. Real GDP growth is more than the long-term productive potential. Definitely not, because with a negative output gap, we're operating way below our productive potential. We are not growing more than our long-term productive potential. So the answer definitely is C.